What's up, guys? It's your girl Matt Cox from A Couture Crafting. I am your quilty BFF, and today we're talking about the Clammy versus the Ditty bag. Clammy is Annie's best-selling pattern of all time. This you see floating around the internet all the time. I went ahead and customized mine with this binding strip. I prefer the way that they look with the extra binding strip. I think that the way that it comes together is just gorgeous. I think this is a very glamorous kind of shape. You have options of customization. You can do the triangle tabbies in the back, or you can do the rectangle. It's up to you. You can actually add a wristlet, and then I want to say there's a couple more options. You can do directional fabric. You can do the things with this. So I can see why this would be such a great selling pattern. I could see people selling these at shows. And also, you get 5 different sizes with this guy. I don't know who on earth is making that tiniest one, but the other 4 make sense to me. This is the medium. So this is the largest size bag with the extra large. This is the medium right here. And it's a fast sew. If you've got a zipper and some quilted fabric, you can pump this out in an hour. I mean, it does not have to take a long time, especially if you omit this binding, which I don't suggest you do because I don't like the way that looks, but that's just me and mine. She came out with the Ditty bag, and the Ditty bag was supposed to be the answer to this. I like the Ditty bag. I think that it is a little more masculine. I think it's slim. I think it's sexy. I like it. I like this bag quite a bit. I customized mine by treating this fabric as though it was directional, even though it's not directional fabric. It allowed me to do some funky stuff with it. I also used 12 weight thread on this. I like my 12 weight threads with By Any Projects. I like my quilting to sit right next to the fabrics and hold its own. I know a lot of people do not love that, but I'm a lot. I do a lot. We know that. This comes in 3 different sizes. This is the largest size in comparison. Here you go. This one is bigger. I would love this for a toiletry bag. I'm sure you guys have some things that I haven't even thought about that can go in this bag, but I really do enjoy it. It has the 2 handles here. 1 zipper that goes down the center. You do need to use a By Any bag if you don't want to have to customize the sizes because it's going to finish because it's a little bit larger of a zipper. But I like By Any zippers because they're bigger. They have these big, beautiful zipper pulls that you can, again, choose your colors and play with and all the things. When it comes to which bag I like better, I honestly couldn't tell you. This one is definitely more masculine, but if you're a girly like me, this might be your jam. It just kind of depends. It depends on who your client is and how much time you have to sew. This one comes together with 3 pieces. So you've got your main piece and then these 2 little side pieces that you plop in. Not difficult. This one takes me more time, but I also decided to give it a zhuzh with this ribbon. Well, fabric that I turned into ribbon kind of thing. So of course I was doing a lot, and then I did a couple of thread changes and whatnot because I wanted to get fancy. So this one took me a lot longer than it probably would take you if you weren't trying to do all of this. But honestly, I don't know which one. I think she was right. This does answer this. It just depends upon what your needs are. I like this for fast though. If you need something super fast, this is it. Once this fabric is quilted, you pretty much have a bag. Throw that zipper on. We're moving on. I also really like the fact that with this particular pattern, I think the shape is just a lot more glamorous than some of the other ones, but also it has these side panels in here so that your stuff isn't just falling out the side. And I haven't seen that with some of the other patterns that are on the market, which I saw a friend using one that didn't have these panels on the side and her stuff was just flying all out. This one, again, has the 2 zippers too, which also helps keep your stuff in. This is a really well thought out pattern. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's easy to put together. So it depends on what your needs are. So let's go on ahead and get into this Clammy bag. The other video will be the Ditty bag, and you can pick which one works out best for you. All right, I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye. So we are making a clam bag. I think it is the bag of the season. It's a great gift bag, and it's also By Annie's #1 pattern. So I feel like we should make one. We just should. I haven't. We're doing it. And I want to time myself on this So I am. So it's 1 o'clock now. It took me about 10 minutes to cut all this. And if I'm being honest, this stuff was kind of out. I made a different size bag right before and I filmed it, but it was trash. The video was trash. I made a lot of errors. So many so that I'm like, let me just do another one, even though we don't have time for that. So here we go. I've got a bag front, a bag lining. These right here are going to be my little tabbies. This right here, these two are my side panels. This here is my binding. This here is going to be the decorative binding that I think makes the bag just look a little more sophisticated, better. I don't like the way that these bags look without this binding. So I've only seen one that I like without that binding. So this is going to be for that. That large size that I just did, I did a 12-inch square. So I have another 12-inch square. You could probably get away with doing it a little bit smaller, maybe an 11-inch square. But, you know, just 12, 11 inches for your bias binding. You can do the calculations if you want. The largest bag is an extra large. This bag that we're going to do is going to be a medium. I'm going to go grab some zippers and prep them really quickly. I'm using black zippers instead of a red zipper because, you know, I don't really know, but it is what it is. We're doing it. I was hoping that I had some zippers that were already ready, had been cut before, but we are starting with a fresh bag here. I got the multicolor zippers. I wish I had just gotten the black ones. But because I have a ton of zippers, I have a bunch of different colors. All the colors except for just good old black. And I thought I had a black and white package of zippers, but I don't see them. So we will just go with these here. I'm going to do green for this one. I did red for the others. Whatever. I'm, you know, we're moving on. The way I do my zippers is just the way that she says. There's going to be one side that I cut and one side that never gets cut. So, yes, it's a little weird, but it makes putting the zipper pulls on so much easier if you cut one side and never cut the other. So let me show you how I'm going to do that. For this, it says I need about, for the medium size, I need about 20 inches. I start my measuring from the zipper, not from the excess fabric that's there. And we're going to do 20 inches. I don't need to load these zippers on right now before I cut because this is brand new zipper tape, so we're fine. Do the full 20. One of the errors that I made on that other bag was I did not use a long enough zipper because usually her zipper instructions are a little on the generous side. No, for this one here, you just need to use what she says and be okay with that. Whatever you lose, just be okay with it. And I always fuss because these are a little on the expensive side, but you get what you get, you don't throw a fit. Now I'm going to just run a couple of stitches on this cut side right here to make sure my zippers don't go off. Nothing special, just a couple of stitches that you won't be able to see. And they like luggage style zippers, which are the ones that kiss. So there's a rounded edge and a flat edge, so they need to go on this way where the two rounded edges are kissing one another, which means we're going to put the flat end on this way. And when you have this zipper tape here, it makes things very, very easy. So I just put the two on there and I get it till it's right there and it's about to engage, and then you just pull apart. That one's on. Great. Now I'm going to put them back together. I'm going to put the nose down. Oh, come on. Yes, I have talons. I know. Nose down. Both of them are in. We're going to get it down till it engages. And there it is. What? Oh, zippers are easy. So there you go. That is all the zippers are. And now I'm going to run a couple of stitches back and forth on this side so the zipper pulls don't come apart. And yes, zippers can get a little more difficult when you don't have that on there, but still easy. There's still a way without having a jig. All right, there's that. I think we should prep this binding too before we start assembling this bag and all that kind of stuff. The way that I do my bias binding, sometimes I do continuous binding, but we don't have time for that. I don't really like it, but sometimes there's a reason to do that. Whatever. We're not doing that today. We are cutting this square diagonally. Corner to corner. Now we're going to take this side and we're going to put it right sides together, leaving a 1/4 inch overhang. I am not measuring that. I'm just doing what I feel. That feels like it's about a 1/4 inch. Cool. Now I'm going to sew a seam down this side. Now we need to open the seam and press it open. I'm a notions girl. I have notions. So I use them. However, this step right here that I am doing is truly unnecessary, but it will get that seam open for you so that you don't have to fiddle with your iron. You know? Because it's hot. So I don't want my fingers, even though I have my nails, I do not want my fingers getting burned by this iron if I can avoid it. All right, so now that that's been pressed open, I'm just going to turn it this way. Makes it a little easier to deal with. We have these little doggy ears here. I'm just going to clip them at the angle. There we go. I didn't need to clip that one, but I did. Okay. That's gone. Now, I'm going to make my binding 2.5. I'm sure everybody else would make theirs 2 1/4. But, nah. I'm making it 2.5. And all I'm doing is I'm just going to cut this. One strip. Two 2.5 again. Two 2.5 one more time, and that will be the last strip you can get from this. Everything else is excess. Now I'm going to sew these strips together and I will have my bias binding. How do you do that? You see that there? I'm going to take it and put it right sides together like this. I'm going to leave a 1/4 inch to overhang. And then I'm just going to sew it down. Sew down from this angle to this angle really quickly. Okay, so here we go. I'm just cutting off dog ears that are hanging over from the 2 seams that I have just sewn. Great. Now, as I said, we will just fold this in half and sew it down. I think this is the prettiest binding because it's not perfect, but it's still stripy. So I just finished basting and marking this. So this is the lining side, and I chose to mark this because it's black and I can see it. And I got a chance to use my favorite marking pencil, which is by Sewline. It's my favorite to use on black, which means I'm going to put regular thread, 50 weight thread in my top, and then I'm going to put decorative thread on my bobbin, which I really enjoy doing. I like that Wonderful glamour that has that tinsel wrapped through it, so it gives your quilting a sparkle, and it doesn't pop. So hopefully you can see all that shine. I'm going to quilt this, which is going to be what is going to take the longest. This is the hard part right here. Again, we're doing the medium size. I've done some cool quilting and a little bit tighter since it is going to be a smaller bag. So I did 1 line diagonal, another line diagonal. I did 1.5 inch spaced away. This isn't a 45-degree angle because this is a rectangle. So I don't think that's a 45. I'm almost positive it's not. But anyway, I just went angle to angle. Then I went another line. Let's do it this way. So I did a 1.5 this way, and then I did a 1/2 inch. Then I jumped another 1.5. Then I jumped another 1.5, and I did 1/2 inch. And I just repeated that one direction. And then the other direction, I just did straight lines. There are so many different patterns that you can come up with for straight line quilting. It doesn't just have to be the regular diamond, even though there's nothing I like better than just a regular diamond. But you guys get creative. Get your Jackie Gearing, is it Jackie Gearing? Walk book that shows you how to do different types of quilting with a walking foot. But I'm going to go quilt this really quickly. Again, all I'm doing is putting pretty thread in the bottom, 50 weight on the top, and then I'm just going to follow these lines. So I finished quilting this up. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Very, very happy about that. And now I need to cut out this pattern. I'm going to cut everything on this black line here. We're going to leave that alone. And we're going to do it quickly with some paper scissors. Then we're going to tape these two together to make our pattern. Now that we've cut out the pattern, we're just going to butt it up against one another. And we're going to use some tape. Tape it together. Then trace it and cut it out on the panel that we've just quilted. I'm going to trace it out using a chalk marker on the back. it is pretty much an identical pattern. It is an identical pattern, so I shouldn't have any issues with cutting it out. But it'll be a lot easier to see it this way. This is a pattern weight. And there we go. I love those pattern weights so much. So we have cut out our pattern. It's a cutie patootie. Now I have marked center here. Great. I can see the little markings for center on both sides. Now I'm going to grab one more line that I'm going to sew on. I'm going to do it with this one. And instead of doing a full quarter, I'm going to do just a scant here. Can't see that as great as I would like to. There we go. And I'm just doing a scant quarter. Then I'm going to sew on that line with a very tight stitch. If you sew on a regular 2.5, I'm going to drop it down to 2.0, maybe even less. And I find that just, it's in order for this bag to fold more, and it really compresses the tighter the stitch is. It really compresses. So, yeah. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to stitch on those two lines. Now that we've cut out this pattern, we've drawn this, I'm going to stitch on this line with a really tight stitch. So if I sew on a 2.5, I'm going to break it down to a 2.0. And I'm also using a 2.0 stitch length. Just going to seal all these edges and make sure that they're all compressed down. And then we'll be back. So now I'm going to prepare, I'm going to prepare all of this. I'm going to prepare the binding, I'm going to prepare the side panels, and I'm going to prepare the straps all at the same time. The straps are going to go first. You've got your square here. You're going to fold it down in half. And I'm going to give it a little press. Then you're going to find the halfway mark again. And I'm just going to give myself a little note there. Then you're just going to fold it down to the center like that. And don't worry if your edges aren't perfect yet. Not going to be a big deal because you're going to trim this bad boy to size. When you start folding fabric over, it tends to get a little wonky. So they accounted for that, and you're going to trim this down to the size that it's supposed to be. So that's the tabs. Now for side panels, we're going to go hamburger. This would be hot dog the long way. We're going to go hamburger style. And we're going to fold these over and press them. And then do a top stitch at the fold about 1/8 of an inch away. And these are going to be the side panels. For your binding, you're just going to fold this in half and press hot dog style. This needs to be trimmed down to size, so we're just gonna trim it down to what the instructions ask us to do. Perfect. And now we are going to sew these right sides up by centering them on both sides, on this side and the other side. And we're just gonna, again, use these and center them, and I'm just gonna stitch 1/8 from the edge. Here we are with the little seam sewn right there, which is perfect. I'm gonna flip this guy over, and it doesn't matter which side, top, bottom, for me. We are going to add these to the bag. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to line them up with this angle right here. And that's going to cause us to have just a smidge of overhang, but that's okay. We're going to trim that off later. So I'm going to clip this in place because it's imperative that this stay flat, but we're going to sew it from the other direction so we can sew in that 1/8 spot that we've sealed the bag with. There we go. So here I'm going to just sew in that 1/8 all the way around to catch this thing in the back. I'm going to do that on both sides. So it's been tacked down on both sides. So I'm just going to give it a little haircut. And here, just a little snippy snip. And that's fine. That's just fine. Now we're going to get to the fun part, this binding. For the binding, I'm going to flip this over. I need this to stay out of the way, so I'm going to push that back. Then I'm going to line this up here and sew the binding onto the front the same way that I would do a quilt. Nothing different, but we're sewing it to the front. This is right sides up. These are both of the raw edges. We're sewing this on. I'm going to leave a little overhang. If you're doing the extra large, don't leave, make sure you have enough. But you will. You'll have enough, but just don't do a whole tremendous, you're not closing it or anything. Just get it there and start it and you'll be fine. Now that we have sewn this on, I am going to clip off, just leaving a little bit here, this excess, and a little bit here. That way we can now, just like you would your quilt, you're going to roll that puppy over to the front. And we're going to do some pressing. Pressing. And I think I'm even going to throw a couple of lines of glue just to hold this secure. And I'm working on the side with the tabs right here. Please do not bind this side without finishing this side first. That's where I messed up in the first bag. I press this side. It looks pretty good. What's that under there? There we go. Now, like I said, I'm going to just put a couple of beads of glue under here. Just a little bit. Just to tack it down, because I really don't want it being any kind of an issue. I'm going to run my iron over this one more time, and that will set that glue. And it will encase this little guy right here, because you don't want it outside looking crazy. So we are going to just freeze it. And after this gets, you know, frozen into place, then you can trim it to the edge. So that looks nice and pretty, and it does. Now I can truly trim this all off here. There we go. That looks great. Now you're going to grab your zipper and the object of the zipper game is to, oh, these are two different color zippers, are they? I think they are. Oh my goodness. Should I put another one on? Let it go. It will be fine. They are two different colors. Okay. The object of the zipper game is to put this and have the zipper teeth. Give it a little overhang. You want the zipper teeth to sit right next to this binding. Right next to it. Don't worry about catching any of that, because really you're just trying to catch this right here in the ditch. And you're going to curve this puppy around, and you're going to stitch in the ditch all the way around, making sure that those green tabbies stay out of your way. And give yourself a little overhang. I might switch out. I might switch out one of these zippers. We'll see. No, what happened there? So like I said, you are going to butt this right up against those teeth there. And then we are going to drop this needle in the ditch. There it is. I take my stiletto and I move the ditch out of the way. I'm just changing my stitch length to about a 3.0 from a 2.5. And then I'm going to shoot for the ditch. And I go super slow. So that is all sewn down. If we flip it over, it looks pretty good. I could have stood to do a 2 1/4, but you get what you get. You don't throw a fit. It's fine. Now, I'm going to unclip these cutie patooties. And I'm going to take this and fold it like this. And I'm going to sew them the same way that I did before, trying to keep everything out of the way. From the other side, I'm going to sew these in place. This is an important step that I missed last time. You want this to be hidden, otherwise when you unzip your bag, you'll see this on the outside. And you really don't want to see any of the bag construction. So I'm lining up this corner right here. And there we go. And I will clip it in place. And just sew in on the other side. And just stay in that 1/8 section right there. That side is tacked on and trimmed. Now we need to do the same thing for the other side. We're just going to pull you that way and clip it down and grab it from the other side and just stitch 1/8 from the side. This is where we are at this part, at this stage. Now I'm going to grab my binding and I'm going to bind this the same way that we did the other side, keeping that fabric kind of out of the way, just back. And we're just going to go around the front, keeping this fabric out of the way. You can clip if you want. See, I can feel right here that this isn't, it'll give me, I can be flat on my machine this way. We'll just go around the front, roll it over, and do the exact same thing. I have sewn this down here, and I can cut off some of this. This is a lot of excess. I'll just cut off some of it here. That's like one whole strip. So again, you can definitely do a smaller square, but I don't know what size, if I'm being honest, because I don't know what the inches are, but you could do the math for that if you want, or you could just do like I did. Now I'm going to go around and press this down with a little bead of glue, the same way we did on the other side. Then I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine and stitch this down. I'm going to open it up and stitch it down. But yeah, we're just going to freeze this down so we don't even have to think about these little panels. And these little panels are here, but it's not so bad that you can't work with it. It's just not. Now this looks good. Now I'm just going to unzip it. Actually, I should zip it and probably mark where this starts so that I get it, so that we start in the right place. So I'm just pinching it closed so that I start where I should and have it all lined up good. There we go. All right. Now I can open this a bit and line this up with the teeth right there and pin it in place. And go around and just put a couple pins in there. These are not pins, these are Wonder Clips, which are wonderful. You want to be careful when you're sewing this down to make sure that your side pockets, these little side panels, are out of the way. So I will be sewing with the bag like this, flat. See? Flat. Not a problem, just something to think of. It's not a problem as long as you have a tail. When you don't have this tail, it gets a little tricky. But we're fine. We're fine with the tail. We're good. That was not bad at all. Now we have our zipper hanging out. I really did a bad job of positioning this, but whatever. It wasn't terrible at all. Let me show you what it looks like on the inside. See? You just see the things here. The panels right there, and then you see zipper, which is nice. So now we are going to turn this baby inside out. I'm going to pull the zippers through. I'm also going to put the zippers in past that section here. There we go, like that. And now we're going to close up this bag. Now, yes, you've got a little tube for your panel there. That's what you want. It's fine. We're going to close that up right now just by taking this and making sure that they are together. And then you're just going to pinch it and align them all. Try to get that zipper centered with your center mark. And then I'm just going to hold that together with a couple of clips, and then just sew it all together. So this is what the front will look like. You're just smashing that down. You're not worrying about it. It's very forgiving. I've got a little overhang right there. I'm not worried about that. I'm just going to sew this straight across. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'm just going to close it, trying to make sure that the zipper is centered with the center line that I marked earlier. And it looks like it is. Where did all my clips go? And we will just smash this and sew it closed. Just like that. Just sew it closed. Now, I just need to cut all this off, this excess off, and we should be good as soon as I find a ruler. Now that I have closed these bags up, I just need to get rid of the excess. So I'm just gonna grab a ruler and just kind of line this up and just get rid of extra stuff. Now that we have everything trimmed, I am going to grab my little bindings and leave some overhang. And I'm going to sew these here to the front on both sides, just like that. Raw edges, here we go. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch seam on both sides and just sew it from corner to corner. Now that this has been sewn this way, we are going to flip it over, and then we're going to do a present style. You're going to fold these sides in and then fold it down so that you don't have any raw edges showing. And you're going to do the same thing on the other side and just stitch it down. So we have finished binding this little guy. It's not perfect, but my binding never is. It's inside of the bag. It'll be all right. It looks okay, you know, it's all right. It's just what it is. Now it is time to flip this bag right side out. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to just open up those zippers. And I did not change those colored zippers, if you wondered. I just left them as they are. I'm using my clover point turner to poke out those corners, encouraging them to come out. I don't know what I was thinking. The binding should be the same color as the lining. I don't know. I'm looking in there. I'm like, what are those little decorative pieces in there? That would be the binding. That does not need to be decorative. It should have been black, but you live and you learn. And this little guy is all finished. He looks pretty good. It's kind of cute. I think these would be great with just one zipper, really. I mean, the 2 is fine. Don't get me wrong. But 1 would have been fine too. Yeah, I think 2. Yeah, I think just 1 would have been fine. It's cute. It's got a very cutie patootie shape to it. I like it. I really do. I really do like these little bags. And so now we have the medium and the extra large. Now let's do the ditty bag and see how they compare.